Hello, I'm Daniel Weber. These are a series of sort of odd ramblings about medicine, about the era that we're in and the changes that are occurring. Sort of many of them perhaps in a series, but not necessarily connected in any way, more stochastic, but sort of like trying to find a thread within the many threads that exist, which is exactly what we're doing in medicine now. We're coming to an era, this is late medicine. Medicine has been, for the last 400 years, the scientific revolution, Descartes, been really done amazing things in terms of treatment and function. But in this late stage, it's in this time and space, medicine is failing. It's not the medicine itself, it's how, in fact, we use the medicine. I recommend to a book called Priced Out by Reina, Reinna, Princeton University. And it's a very brief book, and he talks about the medical system as a corrupt industry that has inflated the cost and the inequality of medicine in that. It's a brilliant book. I mean, he's a medical economist, so I think he's just died recently, unfortunately, but really speaks out about the reality of how medicine has been taken over as an industry. Medicine used to be a service, like water and roads and things that society provided within reason. However, industry has now become a commodity, which is sold to the highest bidder. But you look at that book and talk about that in your own time. Also, there was an interesting article in the let me just pull that up there, in the Harvard Gazette. I read everything. And it's called "Will Inequality Worsen the Toll of Pandemic in the U.S.?" Yeah, look, we look at the statistics of anything, medicine, treatment protocols, outcomes. They're all measured in detail. But what they don't measure is the human quality of these things. So I'm going to make a segue here. The universe is three-dimensional. Everything that has ever been created in the universe exists. All the atoms that ever existed now exist, as far as I understand. So the universe is a closed system, expanding, perhaps whatever it is doing, but it is a closed system. Someone was talking about the biosphere rather than universe, the bioverse. That is when there's an aggregation of complex molecules into structures that are more than the parts of the structure. And you understand what that is. It was like, are things just their elements, or are there a relationship thing? Obviously there is. And molecules and the formation of molecules, proteins, all of this is what life is. And life is an open system. So that's the time part of it. I don't know that we fully understand time from a three-dimensional sort of universe perspective, Newtonian perspective, but we have to recognize that life is an open system and things happen, and what we're going through right now in terms of the virus is just an example of that. My friend Jake Fratkin mentioned in a letter to me, an email, about how his wife suggested that this is just the revenge for fucking up the planet. I don't think she said fucking up the planet, but it's like things are changing. Is the virus one of those factors? It's a number of factors that are going. We're on the edge of an enormous paradigm shift, something that probably hasn't occurred since the agrarian revolution, when the whole nature of human society changed from hunter-gatherers to establishing communities and cities and civilizations and writing and all the other things that we've done, which are associated with agriculture. I think this paradigm shift will be much more major than the Industrial Revolution 2 centuries ago. This is profound, but like any paradigm shift, we can't know exactly what's going to happen. That's the beauty of a paradigm shift. And to go back to Thomas Kuhn, he talked about the paradigm shifts just aren't gradual. They go boom, and then we have a new reality. And I think he suggested something like, when you have a paradigm shift, the old reality is gone. You're just existing in an entirely new universe. So that's what's occurring in many ways, and the pressure on humans to adapt to this major change is, I think, part of the stressors of life. Who are we? Where are we going? All of those really important philosophical questions, those spiritual questions, are not answered in medicine. So come back to the theme. Real medicine is about relationship. It's, of course, about remedies. It is, of course, about treating disease and alleviating suffering. Of course, that's understood. But medicine is not an abstract science like physics or mathematics, of which I know nothing. However, medicine is an applied science. It's a science based on human experience. And because humans are an open system, you can't ever get to a conclusion. Think about that. You can't get to a conclusion. You can't get a final outcome. Everything is relative. Things exist in flux. The Chinese are said, Orientals are said to be more comfortable with contradiction than Western people. Maybe. I don't know if that's true or not. However, the idea that we can exist with several realities that are contradictory simultaneously is obviously a skill that we should all try to cultivate, because we are having one foot in the old world and one foot in the new world. We talk about integrative medicine as if it were this linear process. We just keep on introducing a little bit more vitamin C into things and we'll do integrative medicine. That's not it. Integrative medicine is that paradigm shift where we begin to understand the human dynamic that is involved in this. Disease is not derivative. Yes, there are, obviously, like the virus, things that are causing problems. However, we have to see within the context of the entire culture. Is this entire civilization highly stressed? Yes, nearly everywhere. And if you look at the distribution of the COVID-19 outbreaks, you see them in those kinds of centers that are highly stressed. Large population centers, freedom of travel. Probably people in Africa will not be in any way affected by this. And, just as a quick segue, this is minor. Wait till the multi-drug resistant bacteria gets loose. Then we're going to be in some deep shit here. But that's another thing. So coming back to that, what I want to stress about being a practitioner is, and particularly now because we're working very often electronically, is being able to engage the patient in the dialogue about not the remedy, but the process of their life, their disease. And I think part of that is what's missing quite clearly in modern medicine. It's become too mechanical. It's not to deny the importance of the insights we've had, but we need to really look at this new paradigm that's coming. Another book I recommend very much is called The Singularity Is Near by Kurzweil. He's a physicist. It's one of those books that you probably would buy and never read. I think I'm probably on chapter 2. But he wrote another book about 20 years ago called The Age of Spiritual Machines. And what he's emphasizing, I think, in all of his books is that there's going to be this quantum shift in human consciousness that is occurring. And a lot of it will have to do with artificial intelligence. How are we going to cope in a world where you don't have to memorize anything anymore? Where expertise is available by asking your computer and it will give you things, where you can get 3D printings of anything. Is there where we're going? I don't know. It's unfortunate in some ways. I'm probably too old to go see where it's all going to end up. But I can say, in finishing this little talk today, living in interesting times certainly is interesting. And for me, I feel less worry, but more excitement about the things that we're engaged in now. And that's what I try to communicate to my patients. This is a time of making decisions about how you want to live your life. Um, dealing with cancer patients, once you get past the fear, the question always is, once you get past why me and why, the question should be, what is this going to mean for the rest of my life, whatever time I have left? And there we begin to do the human medicine. And remedies follow humanity, not the other ways around. So anyway, thank you. I'm going to be doing a few of these on and off. And, if you want to communicate, just send us an email. I'm happy to comment or talk to you about anything. Thank you.